Hey guys, it's Claire, and welcome to In the Real, the podcast that provides a safe space to talk about whatever we want with absolutely no judgment. And today, I'm super excited to introduce my guest, FLitz.
Hello. How do you do? Oh man, they're so loud. Thank you. Thank you all. Oh wow. Okay,
I know the
cool.
cheering is crazy.
Yeah, I love it. I love the support. I appreciate it, honestly. I will continue to do my best to be worthy of it. Yeah,
If you
cool.
guys don't know FLitz, he's a member of Smosh, or was a member of Smosh Games. He was a member of New Element 6. He's on YouTube. He's a
hmm
dancer. He's really cool.
I do my best. Thank you.
I guess my first question for you is you obviously grew up in Philadelphia, so what was that like?
It's when you grow up in an environment, uh, and it's your natural environment, you don't really know the normalization. You don't understand normalization. That's just how you live. So I continue as I get older, I continue to be more grateful for anyone that knows, about North Philadelphia culture, especially as an 80s baby. It just wasn't the best place to be. It still isn't, in a place of it isn't in a space of developing fasts or well, and it's becoming slowly another product of gentrification. So that is, the neighborhood at the expense of the culture of the neighborhood. And that's the culture of the neighborhood, unfortunately, comes from a lot of the dirt. And I just so happen to be one of the kids who made it out. I didn't know, and this is a conversation I had with my grandma that was really interesting, where I didn't know I grew up poor. I didn't know I was poor when I was growing up. We had what we had. Life was what it was. And it was interesting to see my grandma sort of have sort of a release. Like she obviously had a guilt of some sort, because she was like, I always thought you knew. And I'm like, no, that was just life. Like, I just so happened to benefit from my own personal life path and having a very beautiful, diverse range of friends and of assorted classes that never treated me like I was a poor person. I was just a kid and I was their friend, and they lived their lives and I lived my life. And that's just how it was. So, growing up, as a 80s baby, as a nerd in Philly, that wasn't too excellent, but the times caught up with us. And now we are in a renaissance where everyone's a damn nerd and everyone's praised for their knowledge of and appreciation of real and imaginative worlds. And that's great, because that's the timeline I would rather live on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how did you go from that switch of Philly to LA? Was that a huge shift for you?
It was a process. I'd always been an entertainer. Even when I was in Philly, my grandma would take me. I'm such a grandma's boy. My grandma would take me. I was in a Taekwondo demo team because that martial arts is heavily a part of my background, different styles of martial arts. But because of my affinity for class clownery and appreciation for people act like Jim Carrey, who I consider a class clown enabler. As a character and a human caricature of the cartoons of his time. I was always performing, so I would audition for plays. I had a place to put that energy and be in, school plays. And I even, when I went to school, interestingly enough, I applied to the Philadelphia Art School, but I am an ADHD riddled child who has no concept of ADHD, because this is before ADHD was really a thing, let alone to be diagnosed. And I had a grandma who wasn't going to no goddamn hospital. So even if I were to be diagnosed with it, I would not really have a way to find out. So my grades weren't excellent when I was coming up in school as a class clown, even though I applied to the art school. I wound up in a vocational school, an agricultural school, and interestingly enough, from there, and this is around 93, 94, I wind up, getting into hip hop through video games in an interesting way. There are things that serve my path through life as I live, and that tends to be performance, hip hop, dance, culture, video games, comic books, and Japanese culture / anime. Like, these are things that really encompass me. Ultimately, American pop culture, of course, but through that, I meet my mentors, who take me under their wings, and they're a part of a very strong, up and coming Black dance group out of Philadelphia. So I gain young mentors because they're in their 20s or so. And I'm looking at them and revering them and their ability as they teach me how to become a b-boy, how to become a dancer, how to learn capoeira, because I loved Only the Strong, the movie Only the Strong, so much. Take me under their wing, teach me capoeira in turn, because I love movies, right? Like Breakin' and Beat Street. I meet people who are b-boys, break dancers, and they take me under their wings and I start combining my motions. This leads me down a path to with friends and peers becoming a professional dancer. The same company is sprouting great talents, and one of them who decides he's taking on his own company, Clyde Evans Jr., he starts Chosen Dance Company, and we're drilling, we're training, and he goes, yo, you better get your passport, it's about to happen. And I didn't get my passport at first because, you know, if I don't see it, it's not real, especially when you're young. Some things you have to learn a lesson from. Try to get an expedited passport, they're going to Australia. They go to Australia and I get to hear all the stories coming back. And I get my passport expedited, and then before I know it, going on tour across the UK, dancing, a show called Hip Hop Story, which I really need to find that footage from there. So this whole path of going to the UK, writing 3 theater shows of my own and touring those, and becoming an entertainer, and then falling in love with G4 television at the same time, because this was geek news and tech television that was speaking to me, becoming involved with their community, and getting flown out to LA in 2008. Because I created a spec commercial, a really nerdy spec commercial about G-cycling, which I don't think exists anymore. And in 2008, that was when I moved out to LA. I remember having my eureka moment while I've written 3 theater shows, Heroes version 2, and the Hip Hop Adventures of Peter Peril. And it was, I believe, during Heroes version 2, and I'm trying to recollect this memory of performing, and I wrote this show, I mixed in the audio, right? I am in part choreographer and director. I have all of these things, and I'm doing it in theater up and down the UK. And then my brain went, you have the capacity to entertain at a greater scale, and you've seen it. And that answer existed in, you know, film and television. And because it was a baby and it was still blossoming, I had no idea. New media, YouTube, and so that is where I continue to play now.
Yeah, and then flash forward a couple more years, how did you get acquainted with Smosh?
That was an interesting process, because the thing that a lot of people may not know is how far back the relationship of me and Joven Shire, who we have like the oldest relationship. I was a part of a group called Rad Nerd, and he was brought in as our intern. It was Bo Ryan, Leo Camacho, who has done a diverse range of great things. And I was the community person. I tend to be a community person. And then he started a job at a company called Mahalo Video Games. It was mahalo.com. We learned it was a content farm, but that was not, you know, who we were as employees. They brought us in as gamers, predators, as they called us, because we could produce content, edit, host. We were the full package, and we had to make audition tapes, which mine is actually on YouTube.
Maybe we'll find it and insert it in this video.
Yeah, I had hair. Hello, my name is Amra Ricketts, more commonly known as FLitz, and this is my application video for Mahalo Video Games. Well, that was a thing we did, and that's where, you know, I didn't believe it was a real job, and Joven was like, I saw it on Craigslist, because that ancient site that people use to find employment, it was there. For me, it was too good to be real. And then Joven said, yo, buddy, I got this job, you need to take it. And I was like, all right, man, I trust you, because I trust him. And that is pretty much all she wrote. I go in, and that's where That's where Wes is, and he came in and he's like, I built all the computers. Like, this is at the ground zero, right? Joven, and it's fun because if you really look back, because all of that footage is still, if you look up Mahalo video games, all of that footage is still online. You will continually see who we have been in our archetypal beings and how they've evolved. Because the more you see yourself on camera, the more you start to craft your being, the more you start to reflect the way you would like to be seen. And so it's been interesting watching us, seeing us grow up as our individual types, where Joven, he had this bossiness, I am, to him. It made sense! While Wes had this childish, boyish, he-manish handsomeness, right? And we all always had that. Sohinki, who, Sohinki was the meek sort of, but he had skill because he tried really hard, because
he was the original tryhard.
Yeah, he's the OG tryhard, but and he's evolved very well in his form. And Lasercorn came as the StarCraft guy. So really, and that's also where, in another part of that building, that's where Matt Robb was, and Matt Robb was a producer. So, and Andrea Renee, I could literally just keep going through names. So this is the power of innovative Los Angeles bringing tech into media and letting people who are talented be talented amongst themselves. Because in our minds, we were like, we're going to create dopeness, and we bonded over our individualities, like, without judging where anyone else was from. I don't care where you're from, like, just don't be a dick, don't be an asshole. Let's create. Your idea is funny, ha ha ha, camaraderie. We could make something out of that. Brainstorm on idea. So that being a thing to be forged, and the thing I really miss, because that's how we really, that's how you create a think tank. You surround yourself with like-minded people. You don't all have to be from the same place, because different ideas and different perspectives bring on different innovations. That's how humanity evolves. That's that diversity. And diversity and conversation to a point of creation and or result. That's what we had, and that's what was forged. And that happened for probably a contract year, and then it kind of fell away. And then Matt Robb, who is a producer, he's a great producer. And I really, if I could really take this moment, I really feel terrible that Matt has gotten any sort of flack that he's gotten. And I don't feel terrible because I had no involvement in it. I just understand how people are affected. And I still see him as one of my closest friends. I don't know the roller coaster he's going through. I can only do my best to respect the space he needs. But in this age where people have masses of access to individuals who are public figures, it puts them at an extraordinary disadvantage to the anonymous. And the anonymous piles on, and the pressure piles on, and entities crumble under those pressures. And it's not just, it's completely unjust. And that's when he got into the Freddie Wong gang, and that's where they started building Node. And that's where some of us from Mahalo went to Node, some other people went to Clever. Clever Games was starting to be created by Wes, Lasercorn, Sohinki, and Joven, and they were the workhorses on that project. And there's a woman whose name I can't remember right now, because I'm emotional, but there were some of us who went there. Then there were people like Matt McDonald, Chad Neat, DK, who is still pretty much friends with the Wong family. We were like the other half that went to that part. So we were building Node while the other side was building Clever Games, which would eventually become Smosh Games. Smosh games became a thing after Ian and Anthony came into play, introducing, and Mari was in play as well. And Matt had this idea because Matt's inspiration, a lot of Matt's inspirations used to come from, and I don't really know where they come from now. We haven't really spoken about those influences or been around each other enough, but a lot of Matt's influences really came from Nickelodeon, that childhood gaming wonder. That's why, that's why a lot of, you get punished. It was just a bit more mature. You're not getting slimed. You're getting whole ass pie in your face, or you're eating a hot pepper while at the same time you're drinking drool. We never did that. Well, you're drinking drool anytime.
You guys did do the gum swap though a couple times.
Yeah, that's totally safe for work. So those kind of games. So he came up with the idea for the Smosh Note Olympics, which is, the taking two gaming powerhouses, and Ian and Anthony and Freddie and Wong and the Cordo Digital Camp, and making us compete each other because we knew each other. So you would get a natural camaraderie out of our engagement anyway. So that is technically to the origin of Smosh games at its apex level. It went through many forms and different, passing of chemicals before the Smosh games formula came to be.
I definitely want to talk about one of my favorite, I guess, series on Smosh games. Smosh, the Summer and Winter Games. Definitely one of my. I will seriously go back and rewatch the videos at least 2 times a year, like all the way through, just because I love them so much.
Awesome, honored.
Yeah. How did that idea come about? I'm pretty sure it was a Matt Robb idea, or he was on the original creating team.
The issue with ideas, because I could personally say it was my idea. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say it was my idea because that's not how think tanks work. And that's the thing about a lot of the ideas. Ideas are spit and they're passed around, and when you say something to a person in the creative room and that person has to pass it, because there were gatekeepers. It was corporate. It was very corporate. So there was corporate gatekeeping. You talk to this person and this person talks to this person, and then they talk, and then you bring it right back down, right? And I remember the day when ideas were coming about and remembering, and we had an idea at Node, and this is an idea that Matt really wanted to have a few times for a long time. Like, it was like, how can we create shows that are like, what's the name? Like Takashi's Castle, right? Or like all of those crash shows, right? And we were like trying to think of how to gamify those experiences. We've thought about trying to do it on green screen. Like how can we put ourselves in video games and present that? And those were conversations that were had during Node. And then you come into Smosh games, and there was an office conversation that they were having about what can be done, and it's the idea of I remember being like, well, we can do summer games. Like, why not do summer games? Summer games, like, eventually also ideas like, well, you get the budget, you can also do winter games, so it makes sense. But it was a cohesive idea. It was a concoction of ideas, and that tends to be how ideas worked. The issue with the corporate model we functioned under is, and this is where I think the struggle exists. We, as much as we were producers in our Smosh games position, we were really only seen as talent. We weren't brought in for production ideas, really. I mean, we were busy. We had long hours and long days. Like, we lived together. And I'm grateful to say no one in that clique has ever stunk, which means maybe I was the one who stank. I hope not. But
I was joking.
It was joking. No, like, literally. But with that, like, I mean, I've had tons of ideas. I had ideas on ideas, but I really had no place to put those ideas. So the only place you could put an idea is in the ear and the mind of your friend, and in the ear and the mind of the working collective, so that it can happen. And that's the thing about those situations. Like, because I know there's the issue with the board game show, Bored to Death, or whatever. The point is, that's what sucks about that situation, when people who are considered talent are only considered talent, therefore getting paid their rate, therefore don't do anything beyond that. You don't have to do anything beyond that, so why bother? Meanwhile, producers do have to come up with ideas. So me, as a talent, as friend, well, here's this idea. I do it all the time. I get ideas on ideas. I have brain blasts. I love it. So for me, it's get ideas on ideas. I don't know who's getting paid for Smosh Summer Games now, so there's no residuals to complain about. Like,
well, the apocalypse happened. I don't think they're bringing it back.
see, so, yeah, exactly. The world's still on fire. It's gonna be digital. It's gonna be a video game. But the point is, regardless, the issue with that whole bickering process is people were in positions where they were not designed to get credit for their ideas. And we were all friends sharing ideas regardless, because we were all in the same ship doing the damn shit together, and we got to do it, right? So that's I don't have ownership issues personally. And I also understand there's this thing called cryptonesia. Do you know what cryptonesia is?
I don't think so.
Cryptonesia is when it's like inception. It's like being incepted with an idea, and it rattles in your mind and it rattles in your mind, and eventually you lose the source of the idea and you think it's your idea. I created this. It happens all the time. It happens to comedians who live in comedy clubs, and then they'll run away with an act, and then they go, I didn't steal your joke. I didn't steal your joke. And then, oh, you did say that. Like, this whole time I thought I came up with that because you have thousands and thousands of notes and writing and thousands, so that is also an aspect of humanity that, because humanity is so ignorant to, they don't consider to have conversation about.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, at least as a fan, I can take away, like, when I'm watching the videos, I mean, not you guys, your personalities do really shine through, and like you guys kind of create your own characters. Like,
but those characters are literally just us. Some moments are heightened, but ultimately, it's
but I mean, like,
just us.
Joven's like the dumb one, but like in real life, he's very intelligent. You know what I mean?
But he does mix words up. That's an actual condition.
So funny,
where
Joven.
The least book smart.
I was the one that dropped out of college. Did you even spell your name right?
Joven!
Just hilarious. And that doesn't, just because your mind might flip a word or two doesn't mean you're an idiot. It just means
no, but he plays it up because he knows the audience loves it.
Yeah. I had a whole sitcom. I still have a whole sitcom idea based on that concept where me and him are neighbors. It's called Next to Right. And my character's like this creator, like this scientist. I hadn't really committed to it. Maybe I create worlds. And I'm next door neighbors with Joven, who's my best friend. And we have conversations, and he gets stuff wrong all the time. And I get stuck in trying to be right. And it's not till and this is like every episode, it's not till he does or says something wrong that I have a eureka moment and a breakthrough, and I get the thing that I was trying to get right. So there's like this synergistic genius between us. And that's how like the plot line is.
Why do I feel like one of the episodes would be the Exploding Kittens episode from Winter Games, where he was trying to peg the whole game and it lost the game for everybody?
Man, look. That's how you have
like,
a good show.
I love Joven, but I do think he was LVP that year.
And as you can see here, if the least valuable player wasn't blocking the scorecard.
Seriously.
That's a fun thing about doing all of that stuff, and regardless of whose idea it was, because we get to live, we get to live with you, and we get to entertain you. We get to provide a sort of friendship you can strive for. Right? I'm looking for homies like that. I'm looking for the homies. You know what we can do, and you can be the captain of that ship. Hey guys, I know how to make our friendship stronger, because you've seen us have fun doing it. So
yeah,
we got the same camaraderie. Let's play. You know what I mean? Like let's figure it out. So
no, but I'll watch Summer Games, and I won't be like, oh, this is Smosh's creation. I'll see Wes do the West rap, and I'm like, oh, that's just Wes doing something really funny that he didn't think was gonna be funny. Or like I'll see you breakdancing or saying something funny, like that they'll have to like zoom into you saying it, and I'm like, oh, that's just FLitz being FLitz, you know?
Yeah, I've got the uncle title. I'm the
or Olivia's uncle. Like lost or doing a try not to laugh and not understanding her own bit, and it just turns into the best thing ever, you know? Like those are the moments as a fan where I could be like, that's just them being themselves, but obviously heightened to their character on camera.
Yeah. And then we get to, you get to embrace that, or if it's something that makes you feel insecure about it, you change it. And that's the power of the digital mirror.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite summer or winter games or team name or anything?
I think the Wild West was my favorite one. I don't have favorite team names. I don't even remember all the team names. You probably remember all the teams.
I think the first one was Bananarama and Jiggle Physics.
Okay. Inappropriate.
Yeah. I think the winter games was Blue Balls and Snowflakes.
Okay.
Then the camp was the Kumbayas and the Marshmallows.
Yeah, camp was,
and this is where I don't remember all of them, but I'm pretty sure the Spaghetti Yetis and it wasn't Snow Rambes because I know Anthony got mad about that. I don't remember Ian's team name. The Blizzards.
There you go. See, that's actually.
Wait,
right.
There's more.
There's more.
Then you had West. It was Cowbays and Randy Bandits, which Olivia as a Randy Bandit is just super funny. There's not a mean bone in her body. Bandits.
I don't have a favorite team name. But my favorites, because I don't like the snow. I'm not a being of the cold. But camp would have to be the close second. Camp was fun because it was a fun idea because the owner of the camp is a friend of mine, and she and her husband she's an actress, and her husband he has money somehow. I don't know, but that was just really fun because between like the food and the presentation and being on this land, that it was so cool and enriching, like, and sitting next to the fire. But the Wild West was fantastic too. They were all fun. I love all the summer ones because the beach being the first one was such a euphoric experience. It was so magical, us being at a beach house and hanging out and being ourselves and being friends and being talented, right? Like, regardless of how we might perceive it. Because the thing I come to realize is from my professional dance career to acting to personality driven content, whatever that means, is when you're surrounded by people who do the same thing and you're all excellent at it, you don't tend to feel that you're so excellent at it. But the world also doesn't seem big until you pay attention that you're walking the circumference of the world. And that's the thing about, like, once you climb out of that bubble, you go, oh man, I'm surrounded by all these people that I really appreciate as talented individuals. And that's a time to, I think, for people who are talented, whatever it is you aspire to, surround yourself with these people and understand and learn from them as they learn from you, and then reflect on yourself and go, I am also talented. I am also really cool and capable, and this is rad, and that's a thing that I got to feel, especially when we did any of the camps, any of the games. That's what we really got to get away together and be a family and be a creation family, a corporate funded creation family.
I heard something online. I think Courtney said in like a podcast with Wes that Summer Games was really the first time like games and squad really got to like hang out and be friends. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, that was the first time like everybody got to hang out. I would hang out with Keith and Noah more than any of them. Those are my baby brothers. Like, I love those are such fun, different two aspects of I reflect myself. If I was a really super cool, high-minded, rebellious Jewish kid, Noah, you know what I mean? Like, if I was still young, hip, confident black kid, get through anything, you know what I mean, and drive the vibe. I'd be like, it's that mux. And me as a Gemini, I reflect through, when dual energies that complement do that. I go, ooh, I'm like both of you. I have garnet underwear. Like, I'm a Steven Universe person. I embrace being a Steven. I have garnet underwear because I also reflect. That's garnet. Like, this is how I reflect. You watch Steven Universe?
I've heard of it.
all right, you gotta watch Steven Universe, and everybody who watching this, just watch Steven Universe. Catch up, indulge, have fun.
I'm gonna ask a stupid question. Is that anime?
No, it's cartoon.
Okay, it's not. Okay.
That's so funny.
I started watching what's it called? Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's the only anime I've seen.
Oh yeah, good philosophy. Enjoy. Watch it multiple times, and don't hate Korra. A lot of people just didn't understand her. I can do a whole. Anyway. So I would see Keith on a bus. Like I would have conversations with him, and when he was going through the audition process and he wasn't sure, I was like, yo, things just take time, like be patient, like, and I would give him tips, because I remember the day Keith first came into the office for his audition, and me and Mari were like, who are you? And he was the coolest kid. Like he was just super duper cool. Those Keith and Noah were the two I bonded with naturally the most. Like they hang at my crib, like we were homies. With Courtney and Olivia, I never really got to fully bond with Olivia. She is as unique as she is, and different people come from different ways. And I respect the hell out of Olivia, like, because as a dancer, like as a creator, like there's again, when you're surrounded by talented people who you admire, regardless of how close you are, you are a force, and I respect and appreciate that. And Courtney, I always bonded with on like super spiritual level, like Gemini. Like she's like where there's Keith and Noah. If I were a white girl, because I like there's things like I still to this day I want to do like a cloak and dagger photo shoot with Courtney. Like that's I always felt like that duality with Courtney. And like there's the thing that I think I just didn't fully get when it comes to the male female connection, because it wasn't necessary, but it's generational. Like I'm what, how old are they? Like I'm like how many years older than them? So there's certain generational connections and bridges. Like I didn't do Vine and they killed Vine, right? I still don't know how to be Vine funny. I have no concept of how to be funny in 6 seconds.
And I think that's why they picked you guys, because you were different in those aspects.
We were, but they are the next. They are the innovators, because they knew how to play in the innovating technologies. And so the corporations bought their livelihoods. Like that's what it ultimately led to. They were killing it, right? Like even like Noah has a great understanding of grand production. Like he's Disney worthy easy. Like if Disney gave him a check and got him cut, like he'd do a movie that saved the world. Like that's you know what I mean? So that's how they, came in. And it was interesting because there are people there was like a girl who came in and she was really hard to work with, so you don't really hear about her anymore. And that's a big testament to how good they are and how good of friends they are, because they auditioned separately, they were brought together, and they are to this day family, homies, you know what I mean, ride or dies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I love it. Like I love seeing them thrive, and I want to see Keith in feature films. I want to see Noah in feature films.
I want to see a Bobby from the Block feature length film.
She like mom say
What's Bobby from the Block?
Bobby, you haven't watched the Try Not to Laughs where Keith does this voice where he's like this and he talks about his mother. You gotta watch Try Not to Laugh.
You're like, please. You have watch parties? You're gonna try not to laugh at watch parties?
You what?
You gonna have try not to laugh watch parties?
I do them on my own. Where I just watch
have them are you in my Discord? Come to my Discord. Be like, hey, look, I'm trying to have try not to laugh watch parties. If you guys are down, they'll do it.
He has this character named Bobby from the Block, and it's really, really, really funny.
And you want to see a whole feature film?
Yes.
All right, we have to figure out the plot. We have to figure out the plot to Bobby from the Block.
I just watched today, like somebody made a compilation of like 10 minutes of the best of Bobby from the Block. I'll have to send you that because you'll understand it. And it's like, it's Keith just being Keith.
Deal.
Yeah. No, but I think like obviously it's very obvious on camera that you all really care about each other and you're all actually really good friends. But you can definitely, I feel like, tell who's really super close. Like in the summer games when you guys were doing was it dodgeball? And you guys were getting like pummeled at the end with dodgeballs. You were like holding Keith the whole time. You're like, and then you start rubbing your head with whipped cream or marshmallow, and then you start rubbing his head. And I'm just like,
oh, I do. I remember that. Yeah. Oh man, I pulled a muscle that day. That hurt.
My knee is also really up right now. But guess what? We doing a damn thing.
Oh,
and then like, it was the next winter games where you picked to throw Courtney's dummy off of the house. Like you're like, we're Geminis. I'm throwing Courtney off.
Yeah. Listen, it's winning energy. You know your zodiac?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay, cool. Cancer. You kind of emotional.
Yeah, I was born on the 21st of June, so like if I had been born like 6 hours earlier, I would have been a Gemini.
Oh man, you are a dimensional being.
That's all I know about that though.
Yeah, you're like done, cool, astrologed.
Well, I know I'm at the bottom of everybody's like horoscope lists of like favorites, so I'm like, it's cool.
Really? Is that where Cancer is? That's okay.
Cancer and Geminis are usually at the bottom for I don't know why.
They just don't understand us. It's all right. We'll get over it. We'll just keep winning.
What were your initial thoughts on Defy shutting down?
I don't know where I would have been. That's another timeline, right? This is that's a different timeline.
If you ever got approached now that Defy like has nothing to do with Smosh, if you ever got approached to be in a Smosh video, make a cameo, do something with the crew now, would you say yes?
Of course I would say yes. I would love to just have conversation. I would just love to have conversation with my friends. I miss my friends. I say it all the time. I tweet it all the time. I love my friends. I miss my friends. Yes, like but that's not up to me. I've been asked that before. Who does it fall on deaf ears? Maybe, but am I hurt? No, I'm not. I'm like not even a little bit hurt. Like I'm not salty. That doesn't serve anyone. That wouldn't serve me. That wouldn't serve them. So I go, well, that's just the way it is. Like if there's going to be some sort of reunion tour or like we do figure out like, you know, something that can happen. Count me in.
Games in the future?
Count me. Ooh, I don't know. There's my email's not ringing, so maybe we'll see.
Because if I could cast the summer games and like be a part of that creation, of course you're one of the first people I would think of to put in it.
I'd be honored. I would stretch a lot and make sure that I am still limber.
Do a breakdancing challenge with you and Sohinki.
Sohinki's popper. Yeah, we gotta dance together again soon.
One of my favorite videos, I can't remember if it's on his channel or your channel, just a video of you guys dancing together from like 2013.
Yeah, I have a video from 2015 that I need to make a song for that I never released. And that would just be a fantastic video to follow up with. But you know, I am as a person of many hats, I tend to have many projects that I'm like, oh, is it time for should I do it now? And then it's too late, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. But things happen pretty cyclical, so I'm very confident that a time will come around where I'm like, oh, here's this video from like 2015. Look at we're babies. Yeah.
Yeah. So will there be any more New Element 6 content, or is that kind of done?
I don't know. I honestly, the issue is, I was just thinking about how we as New Element 6 would have been the saviors of quarantine.
I was thinking about that too.
We would have been your everything, and I'm so confident that we would have been able to be. But the world was on fire. And then, I mean, with that comes great change in mindsets across the board. People start to really reflect on themselves when the world is sick. When you get sick, when you're in a clinical form, you start to really question, you know, how much am I paying for rent? What do I really want out of life? So that's the thing that I don't know. I don't know if it would come back in that form.
I think the fans would be satisfied with just a secret Hitler channel, to be quite honest.
I hate that game so much.
I know you do, but I think it's so funny when Mario and Lasercorn get in arguments.
There's a video that we did with JKNews.
Yeah. No,
we were
JK is one of my favorite channels of all time. So when y'all collab,
Hitler, and after the first game, I was like,
Yeah, you left.
I'm going to throw up. Like I was like, I felt physically sick because
Mhm.
it really affects me. Like if I can't trust my friends, why am I around you? And you're really good at being deceitful. And I'm like, I'm not like, I'm not like,
No, yeah, I noticed because you weren't in the second video they released.
I was like, so I had to bow out. I was like, I felt sick. It made me, that game actually makes me feel physically sick. So I was like, but it's interesting because it's a mindset because we played Secret Palpatine. And I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. Yeah, it's it.
No, every time you play, you're always like, I pretend that Hitler is Palpatine, and
Yeah.
that's how I get through this.
The only way, like, it's the only way I can work. Like,
What was it like working with JK? Because they are one of my favorite channels of all
they're
time.
fun. They're all super fun. They're a wild bunch. It's
Mhm.
I love how good they all are with their brands. I think it's really excellent. There's different groups that we really got to work with that like we got to peer into their window, but we never got to really like get to know like the inner workings of like how they did it. Like what's the name of the boys who shoot the ball all the time and they be making it? Dude Perfect. It blew me away because they were at the office at one point and they were wearing Apple Watches. Like I was like, how are they all wearing Apple Watches? Like they are all like they got money. Like and me being a salary boy, like I'm like, I don't understand how they're doing this. So there was certain kinds of like appreciations that like you get like from working with different groups like JK. But I love all of them. Like I love all their energy. I love all their stuff. I think they're cool.
Yeah, no, I was surprised that those
Joe is my
comments were
favorite.
not great.
Oh, I don't read the comments. I don't care.
The comments were like, these channels don't mesh. And I'm like, my two favorite channels are making content together.
We
I'm
were having
living.
fun. See, everybody got opinions. They can have them. Like
My favorite moment is when you guys were playing the movie music game and Joe's like, we're getting Smosh.
Don't do it, Joe. No.
We should be embarrassed. We're supposed to be the filmmakers, not them.
And then he goes and he races the board and it's like, we won.
I think I almost got in trouble for like something happened because I joke and I think I like grabbed Gio's arm. Like, and because I was like, ha ha ha. And Bo said Bart like beeline stared at me. And I have no recollection of that, but I didn't know they were together. Like, and I wasn't hitting on her. Like, we were doing a show, like, ha ha, you know what I mean? Like, and Bose was like, oh yeah, Bart looked at you like, I was like, really?
Wait, you didn't know Bart and Gio were together?
No, I didn't stalk them.
I don't know. I feel like their energy is very much like, you know, couple that's been together for 100 years.
Maybe that's why, but you usually can't tell when those couples are. We cool. So
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that video.
Yeah, I have fun. Great energy, great space. I still can win, who's part of Choreotics. Me and we still talk. Like we had there's a lot of interesting like little things that like almost happened. Like we were creating this group called C6. And that was like me, Popsicle, Can, Noah was in a lot of this stuff. Like that was fun. Like so, and that's those kind of connections happen through, you know, doing stuff with JKNews because Can has been a force in my life. Like he's such a good dude. Like
you should have him on your channel and teach you how to tut.
We would just do a tut routine. He don't even gotta teach me. I'm dope.
I know, but like you guys should do a video tutting together.
Ooh, you're right. I can't.
Like I would be the first person to watch that.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. So Can is like out of all of JKNews, Can is, you know, the one that's been active in my life. But he's so talented as a dancer, music producer, you know, content creator, writer, like, and he's consistent, right? And him, I think he's a Libra, so we have Libra Gemini energy, and that's very windy, and it creates, it allows great creation and great energy.
Yeah. Let's shift gears one more time.
Okay.
What has it been like to raise a child during the pandemic?
I don't know because this is my first child. It's amazing because I'm already a person who doesn't really leave the house. Most any work I do is being done from home. So she has both, me and her mother all the time, where commonly or in different societal structures, one parent is gone at any moment in time, usually the dad, because the dad ain't got titties to feed the baby. So, so with that, I get to see her grow on a day to day. I think I went away at one point for like 3 weeks. I went to Philadelphia to visit my grandma and have some conversation with my family, making sure they were okay. And when I came back, she was just so much bigger. She was just a holier human being. And it was interesting because I imagine, you know, those little moments add up, those little moments you lose, because if I were still working, you know, if I was still working Smosh Games hours, I'd be gone from 9 a.m. to sometimes 12 at night. I'd be gone, you know, for whole weekends. She'd be either just waking up or just awake when I'm getting ready to go off to work, and then she'd be asleep when I come home. So I'm honestly actually getting to experience my daughter grow, and she's getting to experience me as circus dad. I'm training her for the dynamics. She will be well versed in the martial art and in the breakdance. And yeah, it's been good. I think I don't know. It's a financial challenge. Absolutely. And that has more to do with, I think, general situation in terms of the pandemic and work, and how the ebb and flow of, you know, are we open? We've been closed. Are we open? Aren't we open? Are we open? What, you know, so it's honestly ultimately been a gift, and she probably caused the pandemic just so she could have me and her mom all to herself.
Yeah,
magic babies.
For sure.
You know how magic babies be.
You know what you guys should do? You and like Lasercorn and anyone else like in Smosh who like has kids, like you all should do a video with your kids together.
I think I've had that idea multiple times, because I would love, she has yet to really meet and fully engage with other children.
Because her and Tyler, I feel like Tyler would
they
be the
would
funniest
look like
thing.
brother and sister. They're like the same ethnic makeup.
Yeah, well, let's switch gears into our rapid fire section.
Okay,
these are just going to be straight off the dome. I'm going to ask you a question, and you say the first thing that pops in your head.
Okay, first thing that pops in my head. Let's go.
Favorite color?
Favorite color? Red.
I knew that was going to be what it was. Favorite movie?
Fifth Element.
Okay, what did you eat for breakfast?
A big ass egg sandwich with cheese.
Love that. First song that pops in your head.
The melody popped in my head. It's the song from Whiterun from Skyrim.
Interesting choice. Name of your first pet.
That's a bank account question. I can't tell you that.
Well, don't tell the world that.
No, I can't. Jerome.
What was Jerome?
Jerome was a terrier. Jerome the terrier.
Best childhood memory.
Man, how young am I going? I used to jump in a dumpster filled with carpets that was behind a factory with my uncle. And I think it was a source to how like I got over fear and learned to really just take a dive. It's really interesting because we had no idea what was in these dumpsters. I don't know who was the first kid that got on this really, really high pallet over this garage and looked down in the dumpster, was like, that looks soft. And they jumped in it. But that is amongst my favorite memories. I don't know if they had bed bugs in it. I guess it was a carpet factory because I never got hurt. And it was a plunge. It was like just a plunge. So yeah,
it all makes sense. This is why you have magic powers.
Yeah, because I died and then I came back as a magic carpet. Oh no, I'm just covered in magic carpet dust. That's so funny. I'm just covered in dead magic carpet dust. That's a fun character.
No, but that line, FLitz has magic powers, will always stick with me. Like Anthony in the Winter Games, you guys were doing the mousetrap thing and he was commentating and he's like, FLitz has magic powers. I'm like, that just makes so much sense.
I feel pretty good about my team right now.
We still have FLitz and his magical powers though.
FLitz does have magic powers.
And now it makes sense why you have magic powers.
Because I used to jump into a grave of magic carpets. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Biggest fear.
Biggest fear? I don't currently have one.
Good.
No fears. They
Biggest regret.
regret is useless. They're all learning experiences. I don't have any.
Love that. Midnight snack of choice.
Pop tarts, cinnamon, brown cinnamon, sugar pop tarts.
Worst subject in school.
Math.
Me too.
Yeah, I as an adult, I embrace that. I think I was taught math wrong because math was always presented as a problem, but I'm a being of language. So I'm now, in my adult form, I still playing it, but I'm trying to figure out math as a language as opposed to math as something that is broken that needs to be solved.
Love that. Say something in another language.
日本語が少し話せます。どうぞよろしく。
Japanese?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
I said I speak a little Japanese. Nice to meet you.
Is that because of Mari or because of your love of anime?
That's my love of Japanese culture in general.
We love that.
It's always been an enriching part of my life. Japanese culture, Asian culture in general, honestly, because I came up in an era where channels only had like 6 channels. And one of the channels was like the local access channel, and on late nights they were, I guess, the most affordable thing to play were old kung fu movies. So I would just sit down and watch old Chinese kung fu movies, and that, that becomes a part of your culture. You start to observe and appreciate it. The more you observe it, the better you understand it, to be able to appreciate it. And then anime, just through anime and then understanding Japanese culture through time and language, I come to really appreciate Japan, Nippon, as a very special place on earth for me. I was probably Japanese in some previous life, if you believe in that sort of thing.
Yeah. And the final question is, are you satisfied with your episode?
Yes, I am. I hope I provided you with a great experience, and I hope I expressed myself in all the best ways possible.